Danny watches a lot of television and movies. John does not. Listen in as she tells him about what she's watching, and he tries to make sense of it all. Welcome to Watching My Stories with Danny and John.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome to Watching My Stories.
Woo-hoo.
I'm Danny.
And I'm John.
And I always have to point to myself.
Yeah, well, I think everybody knows who you are, but and I'm the only one that can see you. So
that's why it was funny.
Oh,
okay.
That's just you
on.
keeping us straight, right? You're Danny, I'm John. See, I just pointed at you. I know. I see how it is.
Yes. Hello. We're back. It's been a couple weeks.
Yep.
I don't have a lot to talk about. Honestly, I have not been seeking out a lot of new things to watch.
What have you been watching?
I've been watching old stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, I started Fresh Prince again, which I know every episode by heart, but I was in the mood. I still, I always do Friends. New Adventures of Old Christine is on every night. Will and Grace is on every night. Still watching Studio 60. So it's like all, I'd rather put on old stuff. I've tried some new things, new movies or whatever on Netflix and stuff, and I just can't get into them. And so, so I do have a few things to talk about, both of us combined as well. And then, we're going to talk about Robin Williams in the Actors Studio.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So the first thing we're going to talk about is a movie we just watched last night.
What?
That just came out yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
Bill and Ted Face the Music.
Yep.
Woo!
Mm-hmm.
So I was really excited for this and it was interesting because I didn't think you were going to watch it at all. Because when we first talked about it, and I was like, "Are you going to watch this?" And you're like, "I don't remember the first one. I don't remember the second one." So it was interesting compared to me, who I could probably recite the first one by heart. And it was on most of the week. I would come in and catch different parts of the first one, which I just love. It just, it's
Sure.
a staple.
Yeah.
It's a staple. But I had to remind you what the whole premise of it was.
Yeah, but well, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, it turns out that to watch this one, you didn't really need to have watched the other two because they filled in enough of the blanks along the way or at the beginning of the story to,
I guess.
They said, hey, 25 years ago, you guys were supposed to write, you're supposed to save the world, and here we are. So you kind of knew what.
And here we are 700 years later.
Yeah.
I mean,
well.
So anyway, it was okay. So I big fan of the original, not as big a fan of Bogus Journey, although I did, I was reminded of how much I enjoyed Death in this one. And so that made me go, oh yeah, Bogus Journey wasn't that bad. But I think I was, the first one was just so good that it was one of those things. So anyway, so I was excited about this. So I'm going to give my opinion first as kind of like a bigger fan of the whole thing. And then
I think that's an excellent idea.
You can jump in.
Sure.
So first off, as just looking at it as a fan, I loved it. I laughed a lot at some really silly things. It's very silly to see Bill and Ted grow up and just be the same. And honestly, by the end of it, I thought to myself, I didn't realize I needed these answers, but I'm sure glad I got them, which was interesting. So they like after the first one, I wasn't like, what is the song that they're going to write? I never questioned it.
Right.
I never questioned, what becomes of their lives. I never questioned what really happens if they don't write the song. Like all of that stuff that comes after the end of the movie, I had never said, oh, we need to know those answers. And then when they didn't come in Bogus Journey, I still wasn't like, oh, we need to know those answers. But at the end of this movie, I was really happy we got them. I actually had tears in my eyes. I was really pleased with the kind of twist that they put on it. Involving their daughters. That felt very today and felt very well done. So as a fan, I just want to say I sat back, I enjoyed it, and it made me laugh. And I enjoyed seeing these characters again.
Right.
To go outside of that, outside of myself and find the flaws with it, yeah, there's a bunch. Bill and Ted's whole journey in this movie was unnecessary. It was the daughters who figured everything out. And so us having them go back and run into themselves, the us's, the other us's, was fun again as a fan to watch, and probably fun for them to do, but unnecessary for the movie.
Well, I don't know about that, because if you just had it be about the daughters, what do you do with?
I know, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I get
the other
it.
hour of the movie,
right? I get it.
Yeah.
It's just when you look at it, it's kind of like the whole, Indiana Jones is pointless to the movie thing.
Yeah,
so,
but it was nostalgic.
Yes, I know. As a fan, that's why I loved it. So
Right.
I'm stepping outside of that.
Okay.
So I also don't understand why everyone was original. So, of course, Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter. The dad is there. They even brought Missy back, the original actress. Yet they replaced the wives. And they replaced them with quite young actresses, which is such a Hollywood thing to do, but it annoyed me because I actually like those two actors. And it would have been interesting to see them, and maybe they chose not to be in it themselves.
Yeah.
But it was just, again, that whole thing of the 50-year-old man with, I'm sure the women are closer to 40 now, but, it was still just like this weird thing of like, they're the only replacements, yet they were replaced with so much younger women. Anyway, another weird thing.
I would call that minutia.
It is, yeah. Look, you're not going into this movie to watch an Academy Award winning movie.
Right.
It's 90 minutes, which was perfect. Back to my fan side. I had no problem with anything other than it did feel like Keanu couldn't find Ted as easily at this age. Like, I felt like Alex Winter kicked his ass when it came to acting in this part. Like, I felt like Bill was all over the place. Even in all the other us's, it was like Bill was so dynamic and so all over the place, and Keanu and Ted just felt a little bit flat to me. And maybe again it's just because Ted was my favorite, so
Well, and I think that part of that might be that Keanu's gone on to have such a career.
Yeah,
right? He's recognized as a fantastic actor, and the bar might have been subconsciously just very high.
But what I felt like was he couldn't do that anymore. Like, I felt like it was almost below him. He could not find Ted anymore. He couldn't go to that just airheaded place that he was so kind of known for in those early movies.
Yeah.
Anyway, I loved William Sadler being back as Death. He cracked me up. All the new additions there.
That's
we have
who that was.
Yeah.
I kept thinking it was the guy from Galaxy Quest. The lead alien.
Oh.
What's his face? Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
Enrico.
Yeah. Him.
Anyway, yeah. So he was funny. All the new additions. The girls were great. The daughters.
Yep.
The daughter of Keanu, she must have just watched the original over and over. She had all of his original movements and the way she spoke. I loved all the new musicians that they brought in were really well done. But the robot was and he's played by Anthony Corrigan, who people have seen like in actual stuff. And I don't remember any of it now, but that was just funny. It was just a funny thing to have happen. Kristen Schaal is playing George Carlin's daughter from the future. It was just really, again, you're watching this to just have fun. And if you can't find the fun in it, I can't help you then. You don't want anything good out of it. Even though to me it was, like I said, I really was touched at the end, and I was like, I'm glad they did this.
If you go into it with low expectations, they're going to be met and probably beat. If you go into it thinking it's going to be, the kick-ass, wrap up to a trilogy.
But it was a wrap up that I didn't think I needed.
It was, but it was good. It was good. But it wasn't, if you go into it thinking, here it is 25 years later and it's going to be it's going to be great. It wasn't great. I didn't think.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my opinion.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to talk first as an actual fan of the franchise versus, your opinion. So go ahead and give yours as someone who really didn't remember the original movies. So you're kind of watching this blind, which I can imagine.
Well,
it's not good if you're not a fan.
well, so here's the thing. I remember enough about the original that, Bill was Bill, and I thought Ted was Ted. Yeah, he wasn't as animated as he was when he was a kid. Keanu Reeves playing this role, but and I thought Alex Winter did kick ass as Bill. So I could appreciate those. It just seemed like, you didn't know what the story was going to be or where they were going to go, but it just seemed like it went way outlandish just from the get-go to me.
Compared to the original where they traveled through time and brought them back and was told they needed to write a song to save humanity.
And look, maybe
so that seems...
maybe a 25-year-old me had an easier time believing or relating to that, or it didn't seem like such a huge stretch as now, the 50-year-old me
who watches Close Encounters every day.
Well,
okay.
Anyway,
yeah,
I'm sensing tension here, so I'm going to release it.
No, it's not
and
that.
Just
it's
say
just,
it was good.
No. I want you to give your opinion. It's just I'm just arguing. Again, it's like to say that this is an outlandish plot when it's based on something that was an outlandish plot. Like, hello, of course it is, because it's the third in a trilogy of a crazy idea. So it's just like saying Back to the Future that was outlandish. Yeah, it was. It's time travel. We aren't able to do it. So. Anyway, it felt negative the way you said it.
I didn't mean it negatively.
Okay.
So, and I don't know that you should really argue my opinion, but
I'm not.
Well, you did, but that's okay. I understand. You're a fan of the two movies and you're a fan of this, and I'm more of a casual observer. So I understand where you're coming from. I'll just, leave it at, I enjoyed it. I actually enjoyed it more than I thought I would. I liked it. It was good, and I'd probably watch it again. It didn't, I don't know. So I guess what I'm trying to say is I didn't have a spot that I was looking for it to fill, like maybe a fan of the first two would be going into it. Mm-hmm. So I didn't have that.
Yeah.
But it was still good. It was a good hour and a half, and I enjoyed it.
Well, here's what I would say. If you haven't seen the first two, or you didn't like the first two, definitely don't watch this. And that's my opinion. I can't imagine if you haven't seen the first two watching this. That would be ridiculous. Like, to me, because again, it's nothing but the love of these characters. That is the only reason to watch this movie. You're not going to get anything else out of it. It is not good enough to get anything out of it other than you love these characters and getting some closure on the story. So if you, I think someone would be, I would never recommend it to someone who hadn't seen the originals.
Okay, I agree.
Or the first two. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. So to me, if you're a fan, you're going to get something out of it. You're going to enjoy it and just sit back and take it for what it is. Mm-hmm. It's not, I would say the ranking is probably, the first one is the best. The second one is half of that. And this one is probably half of that. So, you need to go into it not expecting the best, but it was fun as a fan to revisit these characters for me. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I'm just curious, because you usually figure things out before me. At what point did you realize that it was going to be about the daughters?
Really early on, when they were in the garage telling them how good their wedding song was.
Yeah.
Okay. So it was very obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As soon as I saw that it was, the event that saves the universe is just the two names. And then I know
Preston Logan, yeah.
I saw that they were, the girls had become musicians, and they had, I knew it was going to be them.
Okay.
I just knew it was going to be them. So.
Which I loved, but I still was like, but what's going to happen here?
Right.
So, yeah, it was, I still really enjoyed it. But like I said, I would not recommend it to anyone who hasn't seen the first or second one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We got through that?
Well, I think so. Relatively unscathed.
Okay, so the next movie I finally watched on HBO, so I'm way behind, is Birds of Prey. And what's the secondary title? That is The Fabulous Emancipation of Harley Quinn, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So I finally watched this. This was something that I did want to go and see in the theater. And I don't remember why, but I'm glad I didn't.
Oh no.
You know, I always give these DC movies a try, and I always look forward to them, even though the next Batman movie I'm not sure I'm really up for either. But they're just always, you know, they're always dark. And we leave the Christopher Nolan ones out of this conversation. His are wonderful. Mm-hmm. We're going to stick to Joker and Suicide Squad and, you know,
whatever else,
Superman and all that stuff. So these latest ones, Aquaman, which I still haven't seen, they just are so boring. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. Here's the thing of this one. Margot Robbie is fantastic. She carries the thing. She is so dynamic, so funny, so light, and it nails Harley Quinn, you know. And again, in Suicide Squad, the original one, because now there's a second one coming out, and I think we're supposed to forget the first one. The second one, Idris Elba, is Will Smith's dead shot, and I'm so confused on the whole thing, but James Gunn did it, so again, I'm looking forward to it, because if James Gunn can pull off Guardians, I think he can pull off Suicide Squad and turn this whole thing around. Anyway, I'm off topic. So she is so good. She cracked me up. She was hysterical. She was crazy. She was kicked ass. Mm-hmm. Wonderful. The story, though, was so boring. I didn't care what happened. The other women in this, so Rosie Perez is in it. Jurnee Smollett, who I've loved her since Full House, honestly. Mm-hmm. She was Michelle Tanner's little friend. Loved her in that, but all the way through everything she's done, and now she's in that Lovecraft County that I'm really enjoying on HBO. She was great in that as Black Canary. Mary Elizabeth Winstead is in it. She was good. Like, all the women were good. At the end, when they finally came together and they had to fight, all of that was great. The fight scenes were great, but the story was still boring as heck, and I honestly couldn't tell you what the whole story was about and what the point of it was. So that's that. You know, again, if they do another one, if Harley Quinn has another one and it's Margot Robbie, I'll probably watch it to watch her, because again, it's kind of it's fantastic to watch her, and it kind of makes me a little giddy at times. But sitting through one of these, I would not do in a theater. I don't think I could sit in a theater and then go through watching these things.
So if you had been in the theater, would you have left, or would you have...
No, I wouldn't have.
Okay.
I maybe would have fallen asleep.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, it's weird. So anyway, that's on HBO now if people want to.
It really is amazing, the difference between the Marvel movies and the DC movies.
Yeah.
And I really can't put my finger on it. It's just...
It's a completely different attitude. Now, the books are also different. The books are black and depressing and, you know, dark. And that's how the movies come across, because that's the way the books are written. But it's just...
I would take artistic license and try to depart from that, because it doesn't seem to be working. If you talk to people, I don't talk to people. But if a person did... No, I mean, it's out there that DC movies are not as good as Marvel movies.
Right.
So obviously something they're doing isn't working, or isn't working as well as it could.
Yeah, I think it's also the characters, right? How many times can we do Batman? They're doing it again, and it's Robert Pattinson, and he looks like a emo Robert Smith, like being so sad and crying. Like, I can't take any more of it. Again, let's leave it with the Christopher Nolan things, and let's leave that alone. And you know,
give it 10 or 15 years before you try to redo it. This constant reboot, like after 3, 4, 5 years, I don't understand it. And honestly, I have zero interest in seeing this next Batman.
I will. I don't think I'll go. I know I won't go to the movies to see it. But I will, out of curiosity, for sure.
Okay.
Have you seen the car he drives?
No.
It's like a souped up Mustang or something like that. It's weird. Like, I don't know where they went with this one. But I am excited about this Suicide Squad thing. Even though it's not Will Smith, I still love Idris Elba.
Well, and if it's James Gunn,
you gotta
have some confidence in it.
What he did for Guardians, which no one thought was anything that would ever become successful, it feels the same. He took Guardians, which was this group of people, misfits, blah blah blah, blah, doing their thing, Suicide Squad is kind of the same thing. It has everyone else is the same in it from the original, which is also just confusing as hell because I'm not sure they aren't acting like this is a sequel, but I don't think it's a replacement for the other one. So I don't know. But the little trailer they've put out looks really great. When seeing James Gunn talk about it, it seems like he's very excited about it. So that one I'm going to give a try, and I didn't hate the first Suicide Squad, but again, it's hard for me to bias with Will Smith in something that, it wasn't bad. It was just, again, the Suicide Squad story had also been done in the Arrowverse.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt like it was done better in the DC shows.
Mm-hmm.
So, which again, we've talked about even this Birds of Prey, Black Canary and all those women, they're all in the Arrowverse as well. And so it's just been done better on the DC shows.
Yeah, I guess I didn't hate Suicide Squad as much as a lot of people did. But where it lost me was I'm just not a fan of Jared Leto. So I didn't even
remember him being in it.
Yeah, wasn't he the
Joker?
The Joker? Yeah.
He could have been.
I think he was the villain in that one.
I guess I don't remember anything about it. Wow.
Yeah, so I
guess I shouldn't speak about it.
I don't like him as an actor. I don't know why. It's probably unfair to him.
That is very unfair.
A la Jennifer Garner, but
he's Jordan Catalano. Hello.
That means nothing to me, but whatever. Yeah, so
my so-called life.
Okay, well.
Yes. Okay. Anyway, moving on.
This is why you tell me your story, and we're not relying on me.
No,
and my
if he was in there, then you're better. You remember more about the movie than I do. So
I only remember it because I dislike him.
Okay. Next movie I'm going to talk about is just one of those. Like I said, Netflix is doing this thing where they've got all these low budget Hallmark type movies. This one is called Fatal Affair with Nia Long and Omar Epps. This is my kind of, it's just like obsessed with Beyonce and Idris Elba and all those, I love those kind of movies where someone cheats and then the person gets obsessed and then they have to fight it out. This one was exactly that. Nia Long and Omar Epps were old college boyfriend, girlfriend, and nothing happens between them, but he gets stalkery on her and, they have to go through that whole thing. It wasn't great. But if you like those sorts of movies, Lifetime type movies, it's that sort of thing. Killing time on a Sunday afternoon when there's nothing on. It's called Fatal Affair on Netflix. Totally fine.
A glowing review. If you're into that sort of thing, here's another one.
Yeah. I mean, exactly what's going to happen every single time.
That's funny.
So, they tried with a few little twists in there to make it different. It was fine.
Okay.
Whatever. Kills time.
Okay.
Moving on to television. We watched a series this week that I had already seen and I've already spoken about on here. But I got you to watch on Disney Plus.
Oh, yeah.
Which was the making of Frozen 2.
Yep, Into the Unknown.
Yes.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I loved it.
So let's just remind people, you weren't a huge fan of Frozen 2, which isn't surprising. You didn't really like the first one either. But when you came out of Frozen 2, you were like, eh.
Yeah, I didn't, yes, you're absolutely right. I wasn't blown away by the first one. It wasn't, I didn't like it nearly as much as every other person on the planet, apparently. So I wasn't enamored with the thought of a second one. I saw it. It was okay. It was good.
Yeah.
Again, not blown away.
Yeah. I wouldn't expect you to be.
But, and here's the thing with me, and I don't know why this is, but when I see more about people who make the movie or more about the movie behind the scenes or that sort of thing, it makes me have more interest in the movie, even if it's one I've already seen.
Right.
Like to go back and watch it again with different eyes or something.
Yeah.
Right? Different perspective.
Which we will do. We'll watch this again after the series.
This docuseries, I guess, was fantastic. I really like the way the Disney Channel is doing their docuseries and just their little shorts with the one day or all of those things. They're just so well done.
Yeah.
And this is just a much more expansive version of those things, and it was just fantastic. And if Jennifer Lee ever decides to run for president, she's got my vote.
Yeah, she's kick-ass.
Yeah, she really is.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed it thoroughly. It's very good behind the scenes making of that.
It's absolutely fascinating because, again, and I talked about this when I spoke about it before, you always hear, oh, we've been working on this movie for 3 or 4 years. Animated films always take 3 or 4 years. And we come into this series with 11 months to the premiere. Mm-hmm. And they're only like animated 20%.
Yeah.
And we watch them basically make the movie. I mean,
we get to see the mad
what
scramble.
were they doing for the 3 years before?
Yeah, we get to see the mad scramble for the other 80%. And oh, by the way, the score and
they haven't figured out the
music and all
story.
The story. They don't even. Yeah, so
the effects.
That totally blew me away.
I know.
Be 3 years into a 4-year process, and you're not sure whose voice that is at the end.
Right.
How can that possibly be?
Right.
But
it seems normal. They aren't sitting there going, well, I mean, not that it's not completely normal. They are like, well, this is still a point of contention, but they're not like, this has never happened before, So it does feel like it's such a more fluid process than actually a real life film. This animated thing is just.
How do you lay out a movie for 3 years?
I don't know.
Or storyboard a movie for 3 years leading up to something.
Yeah.
And you don't know what that something is. You don't even know who it is.
Right.
That blew me away.
Right. Songs aren't done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was a very good look behind the scenes at how, obviously it's a musical and it's, the music is iconic now. And how all of that plays in and the intertwined relationship between the music and the animation and the story. It's such a fascinating look at how all of that plays together and affects each other. And just all the effort that goes into making that cohesive.
Yeah.
It's
crazy.
It was just amazing
it's
to me.
Exhausting.
And this was very heavy. So basically, for the 6 episodes, I think you're following their co-directors, Jennifer Lee and
Chris Buck.
You're following those two and the executive producer. They're the main people we're following, but it's also very heavy on the 2 songwriters, husband and wife team, and in the actors, Josh Gad and Kristen Bell and Idina Menzel and Jonathan Groff are in there a lot, right? So you get to see them a lot, record, and how they do what they do behind the scenes, both musically and just the
running
voiceovers.
Their lines.
Yeah, so it was just really really good to see and
good close-ups with the animators just making a 3-second shot and how just from the storyboard guy. To then the animators, to then lighting, to the cameras, to the effects, to the production design. It was all, again, back in the day with the handwriting or the hand.
Yeah, when they were drawn by hand.
I assume you had to put your own lighting in when you drew it. That's what I always thought. I'm not sure anymore.
I'm sure at least initially until they came up with something more whiz-bang than that.
Well, now with computers, they can light a scene and the animator doesn't have to worry about it. It's so fascinating.
And each scene, this is what blew me away. And I'm a mechanical engineer by day, right? And I deal with CAD software. So I'm in CAD software a lot. What totally blew me away is they create these scenes in basically 3D, right? And they place cameras in the 3D models, right? They place cameras, and then they pick those cameras, and the view that you see is the view that camera would see from that perspective in the model,
right?
That
so
and you can move it, and you see it move, and it's just it
because you assume an animator animates to the screen, right? Like what you're animating is the screen is the camera. Had no idea they were putting in all these different camera angles for each shot. Yeah. Like a real movie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And some of these scenes had 30 cameras.
Right.
And now when you see so this is what I want to pay attention to now is all those sweeping shots where the character's kind of in the center of the screen, but the camera is swinging around and you're seeing just this far off distance, shot where everything is moving and rotating. I kind of want to see that because now that I see how it's done, that blows me away even more.
Right.
Just how much animation that takes, how much animation they're having to do in the background. I mean, it's just staggering.
Right. And think of all the animators when they have to cut stuff.
Yeah.
And people have worked on a shot for 6 months, and then they go, nope, cutting it, and it's like, oh, you feel for those people. You think about your bad day at work and what that means, and they'll always have it, but it's just well done. And I cry through the whole thing because I actually love Frozen 2 way more than the first one. And so when they're recording these songs and the orchestra's playing and the voices and Kristen Bell's crying as she's singing my favorite song, and it's just, I lose it. It's so much.
Let me tell you, the moment that stands out in the entire series for me was the first time they play Into the Unknown with the full orchestra. Yeah. Jennifer Lee's reaction.
Yeah.
I mean, that
you imagine
is
hearing
amazing.
That?
And so powerful and so moving.
Right. Like I remember hearing the song for the first time and me getting goosebumps and me feeling that. She had been hearing it on a piano for so long, and again, to imagine hearing that full orchestra, just like even Kristen and Bobby Lopez, them hearing their creation on a full orchestra. That's just, it's such a moment.
And think about it. We're hearing, the finished version of the song, which has the full orchestra. We're hearing it, right? They're sitting there watching the full orchestra play it, right? And hearing it for the first time. Yeah. That's just, I got goosies.
Oh, no. Anyway, so I'm so glad you watched it, and I knew you would like it.
Yeah.
And so we will revisit Frozen 2, and then maybe we'll discuss it again on here and see what you think of that.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's on Disney Plus. It's only 6 episodes. Whether or not you liked Frozen 2, this is worth checking out because you can put this process to any animated film that you like. Know and see the hundreds of people that it takes to put such a thing together. It's just fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating. So check it out. Into the Unknown, the making of Frozen 2 on Disney Plus.
Highly, highly recommended.
Yay. Okay. The next 2 things I'm going to talk about are Quibi shows. I know I've talked about Quibi on here before, and for some reason they're catching my interest these days when other shows aren't.
Yeah, you would think that I would be all over this because it's my style. It's like a 6-minute episode.
Yeah.
That's right up my alley. But, but I haven't.
I
can't even muster up the energy to watch a Quibi show.
So the first one I'm going to talk about is The Fugitive. People have probably seen. And here's the thing. The show I talked about before, The Game or whatever it was with Liam Hemsworth and Christoph Waltz, it's got Emmy nominations. So, they're putting out some good stuff here. So this is The Fugitive, which was a remake. People have probably seen the commercials. Kiefer Sutherland is the cop. And what's his name? Boyd Holbrook is the fugitive. They changed the story. It's not the same Dr. Richard, whatever his name was.
Kimball.
Thank you. Well done.
Yeah,
And the One-Armed Man. This was up to date where there was a bomb on the metro here in LA. And they pinpoint him, Boyd Holbrook's character, because he had just gotten off of the train and was on his cell phone, and Kiefer Sutherland goes, "That's the man." And it was a little frustrating because they called him out and decided he was the culprit without any, it was that sort of story where every little piece of information they gathered about him, they twisted to make it work for their case, which again is one of my, obviously one of our problems in this country, but it was interesting to watch how they kept doing that. Like, they arrested his wife who was on a business trip, and he was on his phone getting off the train because he was writing what the text message they had pulled off his phone said, "Kill it all." And they're like, "Oh, well, look, he texted this. That must have been this trigger to go the bomb, blah, blah, blah." His wife's name was Allison. So he was writing her, "Kill it, Allison," on her business trip that she was on, but they changed it to make it work for them. They do a million things like that throughout this whole thing. Even when other cops start to realize maybe this isn't the guy, here's what we're finding out about him. Kiefer Sutherland was like, no, they're just doing this and this, and he's trying to get you off his path because of this, that sort of stuff. Even when they found the other guy who had bomb schematics in his house, Kiefer's like, well, they're working together. It was that kind of thinking of, oh, I'm not going to let this guy off the hook. Anyway, it was very interesting. There was a lot of backstory there with this guy. He had been in prison before and all this sort of stuff. There's backstory with Kiefer. His wife had been killed in a bomb in New York, blah, blah, blah. So it's personal, It's like, it was fine. There was a lot of annoyances with Kiefer's character, actually, and maybe it's just because I'm not a fan of his. But it was entertaining. Again, these are such short episodes, and you watch a few, and then you stop, and then you come back and you watch a few more, and for me, something to watch right now, it kept my attention, and that's not happening very easily. So I will recommend The Fugitive on Quibi. Just go through it. Now,
okay.
Second show on Quibi I will highly recommend, called The Stranger. This was like it had aspects of like a horror film, because the villain was able to be everywhere all the time, which only kind of happens in horror films. And a real suspense deal. So it starts with this girl who's an Uber driver type thing. I forget what they called it in that. And she picks up a guy, and he ends up being a psycho. And in the ride, he starts saying, she's like, oh, well, you have such a nice house that I picked you up at. And we find out she's only been in LA for 3 days and all this sort of stuff. And he's like, oh, I don't know those people. I just chose the house, and I shot the woman when she opened the door, and then I went and found the husband, and I killed him. And he starts telling this whole story. And so then the rest of it is just this chase, basically, of her trying to get away from him, and him always popping up, always being ahead of the game. He's a hacker. He can get into her phone, and she knows no one in town. She ends up kind of befriending this like Circle K clerk, and he starts helping her, trying to escape this guy. And it was very, very kind of intense at times. And then, like I said, he would like pop up in a place where you're like, there's no way he could have made it from that place to that place. So that's where I'm like, you have to give it like those horror movie tenets where you accept that the villain can kind of be everywhere all at once. So you kind of have to give it that leeway a little bit. But the kid who played the stranger was Dane DeHaan, and there was one of the Spider-Man remakes. I honestly don't remember if it was the Amazing Spider-Man or the first ones. But he was the Green Goblin in that. That was the only thing I knew him from. He was super creepy, super horrible in this one. Really creeped me out. And the girl, I've never seen anything before. She was really good at just being scared and freaking out. And also her character wasn't stupid, like even though she had just arrived in town, she didn't do stupid things where I was like yelling at her, like, don't go that way, that sort of thing. I will warn, she has a dog through the whole thing, which I kept my hand on the button because I kept thinking, if this crazy guy kills the dog for some reason, then I'm not watching. I won't continue.
We're done here.
Yeah. The dog makes it through. You can keep watching.
Okay.
So that's okay. So anyway, it was really, I actually really, really enjoyed watching this.
Cool.
There was one night where I was watching before bed and I was like, you know what? I can't watch anymore. It was that kind of creepy and intense.
Wow. In
just these little short bursts, which is so weird. The way they're putting these together, it really works. I'm still, I haven't gotten back to the Kevin Hart one with John Travolta because that one was getting a little silly, but I'm sure I will. And what I've started a new one. Paula Pell has a show on there called The Mapleworth Murders, where she's like, it's like a farce of Angela Lansbury, Murder, She Wrote.
Yeah.
Oh my God. If you know Paula Pell, you'll love it. If you don't know her, you do. She was one of the writers on SNL during the Tina Fey and Amy Poehler years and wrote probably most of your favorite sketches. I love her so much. She is one of the funniest people. And on the show, it's in New England, so she's like, murder. Like she has this weird accent. Oh my God, it's so funny. So when I get through that season, I will talk about that some more. Okay. But anyway.
Okay.
So yeah, lots of stuff on Quibi. Lots of stuff to keep your interest. So yeah.
I should probably check it out.
Yeah. You should. Okay, I'm just going to mention a couple more things and then we're going to get into the Actors Corner.
Okay.
Because people are looking for stuff to watch. So I want to let you know Amy Schumer's back. Learning to cook with Amy Schumer. The second season is back. We have to talk about it because, of course, they're our best friends.
That's right.
And we want everyone to watch them.
Yeah,
it's the best show.
Absolutely. And even if you're not a fan of Amy Schumer, her husband is just the best. You got to watch it for Chris Fisher. This guy is just amazing. Even when he's sitting there being quiet, doing nothing, he does it so much better than anybody else.
Well,
he's just a gem.
And he will make you love celery root, apparently.
Yep.
That's his thing for season 2 is he's promoting celery root.
Season 1, it was fennel.
Yeah.
And he's moved on to celery root.
Yeah.
Sea root.
Celery sex.
Yep.
Sea sex.
Sacks. Just be careful there.
So anyway, we love these guys. I love everything Amy does, but the two of them together, again, I'm going to just say Expecting Amy on HBO Max, the documentary of her being pregnant, so worth watching.
Mm-hmm.
Go back and watch that, and that's when you will learn about their relationship and see Chris Fisher, and you will fall in love with them, and then you can come back and watch Learning to Cook with Amy Schumer. It's on Monday nights. It's the best. And the food he makes is great. So it looks so good. He's a James Beard Award winner.
Yeah, and by the way, he's an awesome chef.
Yeah.
I mean...
Yeah. So there's that I wanted to tell people about. And then secondly, one of a show I love, Cobra Kai, which is the Karate Kid show. It was on YouTube Red, which was the only reason I ever subscribed to YouTube Red. Now it has moved to Netflix. So as of yesterday, seasons 1 and 2 are now on Netflix. Season 3 is coming not till next year, but it is coming. So I just wanted to let people know, if you weren't able to watch it because you didn't join YouTube Red, it's now on Netflix. And please go watch it. It is so great. My sister actually, while we've been talking, I told her yesterday it was on Netflix. She has texted me and she said, just finished season 1 of Cobra Kai. So awesome.
Oh,
good. That's the feeling you get when you watch it, because it brings you back to the movie. There are so many intercuts of the original movie. And it's so well done. They figured it out, and it was hysterical yesterday because I was watching Cobra Kai when you came in, and then we switched to Bill and Ted, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm watching all these guys that I loved then grown up now, I love it. It's so nostalgic. But Cobra Kai, it's not silly. They really figured out a way to do it, and they really paid a great deal of homage to the movie, and for those of us that loved it so much back then, it's so worth it. It's so entertaining.
Good deal.
So there's that. And then I just wanted to have a moment of reflection and RIP for Chadwick Boseman, who passed away yesterday of colon cancer. Obviously, they claim that no one knew. It'll be interesting to see if some people come out and say, yeah, he told me. But big bucket of win. I'm stealing that from Kevin Smith because I love the phrase when people die. He always says, oh, they've got a big bucket of win. Chadwick had a huge bucket of win. And will always be King T'Challa, and he seemed in all of the memoriams that are coming out now that he was much more the hero in real life than he played on screen.
Sure.
And his Marshall Thurgood was so good in Marshall. He played Jackie Robinson, he played James Brown. Like, he has brought so many iconic people to the screen.
Right.
On top of that, and I'm just going to throw it in there because it's one of my favorite movies, Draft Day. He was so good in Draft Day. I don't know why I love that movie. I hate football, but I love that movie. So
I don't think it's a secret. It's Kevin Costner and Jennifer Garner. I mean,
no, it is the way that story unfolds. It is the mystery and the way they tell that story of who he's going to pick.
Sure.
And of course he picks Chadwick Boseman's character, and it's
spoiler.
Yeah, it's just anyway. And Black Panther, when it's on marathons on the weekends, I watch it in a marathon. I can't not watch that movie. It's just so good. Yeah. And that's because of him. And I don't know what they're going to do. I'm sure we'll find out sometime in the next few months.
I'm sure the Marvel people knew that the responsible thing, I think, would have been, with a franchise like that. I'm sure he let them know. It will be interesting. But yeah, what a huge shock. I mean,
yeah, it really was.
First got the first alert last night. You were like,
it was very shocking.
It was a ton of bricks.
And he's my age and to think that someone was struggling for 4 years and he still did the things that he did is super powerful.
Right.
And that maybe this quarantine was a blessing for him because he was able to just be at home and do what he needed to do.
Right.
And not have to tell people, because obviously that's not what he wanted to do. So it's going to be interesting to see what comes out in the next few weeks and how people really discuss all of this. But anyway, super love him.
Yeah.
Wakanda forever, dude.
Yep.
I'm just really super bummed.
Yeah.
Because I was looking forward to a lot. I think he would have had a huge career ahead of him. We know that. So
yeah. Godspeed, Chadwick.
for sure. Okay. On to the Actors Corner.
What? You're
Yeah.
done?
Yes, I am done.
Hardly
Is that
seems
your stomach?
No, that was my throat. I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay. Robin Williams, which I can't believe we hadn't done before now. But
I'm not sure I believe that, actually, but because I seem to remember some of these selections. But
I don't remember talking about any of these.
okay.
But this is the first time I have gone over 3 in my categories. I've always tried to keep it to 3, and it's just impossible. I could have done 6 and 7.
I'm not surprised by that. I actually had 3 in one of my categories, and I try to keep it to 3 as well. But actually, a couple I only got 2. So anyway.
I just first off just gonna say super fan of Robin Williams, so this is really hard for me to try and divvy up.
Yeah, I understand. So I guess I'll go ahead and start. So the movie or TV series I love, the original where I first enjoyed him was Mork and Mindy.
Yes.
Classic in the classic sense of the term classic.
Yeah.
Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yes.
Which, again, I don't care who you are, you're going to like that movie. and the third thing is a little bit different than we normally do, but his appearance with James Lipton inside the Actors Studio was one of the best episodes of that show ever.
For sure.
And
they gave him 2 hours.
So in that 2 hours, you literally saw everything he had to offer.
Yeah.
He was all over the place in all the best ways.
Yeah.
And that poor woman in the audience.
Yes. Who was laughing. She was going to have a heart attack.
I'm sure she's famous, and I just don't know her name. I'm sure she got singled out, but you want to see somebody crack somebody else up.
Yeah.
He was actually afraid for her.
Yeah.
As were we all.
Yeah, that's a very good call. I didn't even put that down because I didn't think of it, but good thing. Doubtfire I have under my likes.
Sure.
For no reason. Like and love in this one are both just super love.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's one of those, especially, it's such a crier. I don't think I ever watch it without crying. But he's so good. He's just so good as that dad that, misses his kids so much.
Would literally do anything to
Right.
be with his kids.
Right.
Including inventing somebody.
Right.
Right. And then, the little catchphrases from that movie. Just little phrases. I mean, if it hadn't been for that movie, we still wouldn't have the word poppet. I don't think. So...
Well, you think about, we can go through all of these movies. There are catchphrases from every single one because he's just a genius.
Yes.
Okay, so mine, under love.
Mm-hmm.
This is so hard, and I'm already... So, number 1, What Dreams May Come. I know you haven't seen it. We just spoke about it. Someday I will find myself with the strength and capacity to watch it. It takes a lot to watch it. It is one of the most beautiful, beautiful films, but baller. He dies, and it's just, he's in this world, this afterworld that's just a painting. It's so hard to, and just, it's gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. He's amazing in it. Mm-hmm. Everyone in it with him is amazing. Annabella Sciorri plays his wife. She's just, it's so good. We will watch it.
Okay.
The Birdcage, for me, there's nothing better than that movie.
Sure.
I can quote it. I will quote it. It is the best ever. And it is because of him, and it's because of Nathan Lane. The two of them both are perfection in that movie.
It was so they're both individually fantastic, but the combination of those two is just
and then you throw in Hank Azaria and so perfection. Third, Hook. I just, Spielberg, and it's him and it's Peter Pan, and that transition of, you've grown up and then he needs to go find his kids and Neverland, and the way he transitions and he learns, and that character, for some reason it got to me, and again, cry every single time. And finally,
wow,
I know, 9 Months. That movie, Julianne Moore, Hugh Grant, it's a good movie. It's made because of Robin Williams. He's the doctor. Every line that, I recite his lines from that movie almost on a daily basis, and it's made because of that.
Yeah,
sure.
The delivery scene.
Oh my God, the best delivery scene in the world. Tom Arnold, Joan Cusack. It's a fantastic movie all the way around, but for me, if he weren't in that role doing what he did, it would be one of those that was like, oh yeah, it's a cute movie. It's hysterical because of Robin Williams.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, that's all my loves. Moving on to likes.
So likes, I got 2.
Okay.
Fully covered already. The Birdcage.
Okay.
And 9 Months.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't go wrong with those.
Universal, I think.
Yeah. Okay, so my likes, I had Mrs. Doubtfire, Aladdin. I know you haven't seen the animated version, but we will get to that now that you've seen the real life version. He's genius in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that.
Sure.
Jumanji, the original Jumanji, is still my favorite out of all these Jumanjis. Again, his ability to be a grown up but be a kid inside was just something that I feel like I always related to, whether it was this or Hook or whatever it was. It just was always that thing.
Right.
And again, maybe because I'm not a very silly person, so I always just wanted to see him be able to be silly, but then be an adult. I don't know.
He somehow should have taught a class.
Yeah,
because there's nobody, I don't think, who's ever been better
right,
at being an adult and maintaining silly.
Right, but genius silly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And my fourth one on here, Dead Poet Society, Captain My Captain. It's one of those stories that when you look at his list of serious movies for me, this is one that I do watch all the time because I've always had a thing about teachers and good teachers, and it really speaks to me. And I think it's a beautiful thing when people teach so well, and that's this story. So I love that.
Sure.
Okay, movies you hate.
1 Hour Photo.
That's under my secretly love.
Really?
You saw that?
Yeah, I didn't finish it. I didn't like where it was going with him. Huh. I didn't like seeing Robin Williams as a creepy
I
guy.
Loved it. That's why it's under my secretly love.
Yeah, so you and I get different things out of different movies.
Yeah, but I thought he's done serious, but this was him being a creepy stalker.
Yeah.
And psycho, and I thought he did so well.
That may be, but I don't want to see my Robin Williams doing creepy stalker. That's the difference weird. Between us.
Yeah,
you're able to step outside of that and appreciate, I guess, no matter who it is doing, no matter what they're doing.
Yeah.
I, on the other hand, when I watch a movie for an hour and a half, I want to be entertained. I don't tend towards the creepy stalker stuff anyway.
Right.
But especially somebody that's, to me, is such a stretch. And I'm sure he did great.
Wasn't, yeah.
No, that's not what I'm saying. Not his ability. My believability. How I typecast him in my own mind.
Gotcha.
That was just too much for me.
Okay.
I couldn't do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that the only one?
That's it.
I have Death to Smoochie. Not his fault. I just didn't like the movie.
Yeah, understood.
And The Angriest Man in Brooklyn, which I did not finish because that came out after he died.
Mm-hmm.
And in the very beginning, it's about this man he's actually walking to a bridge to jump off of it, like the opening shot. And I was like, okay, he just killed himself, and I'm not going to watch him kill himself in this movie. And I turned it off. So I can't really speak to the rest of the movie. I'm sure it's fine. It was just at that moment, I couldn't. I could not separate in that moment. It was Robin Williams, and I did not want to think of him
in
that way.
Right.
that's that. Secretly Love.
Patch Adams.
That's under my haven't seen.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Never saw it.
Yeah. He's good.
Okay. Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Okay. Any others?
Nope, that's it.
Oh, wow. Okay. I still have 4 on this one. License to Wed.
Yeah, I know.
Of course, my John Krasinski.
Sure.
And him. I loved watching the two of them in all their scenes. It cracked me up. And then they have the bloopers over the credits at the end. Oh my God. I can't imagine being John Krasinski and having to keep a straight face with Robin Williams doing the stuff he does.
Yeah. I mean, anybody trying to keep a straight face to Robin Williams.
Yeah. But I love that movie, and it seems like people don't like it. Of course, Good Will Hunting finally got him the Oscar. He's brilliant in it and beautiful. I have 1 hour photo here because I liked him doing something different. And there was this, and there was that other one, Insomnia, that kind of happened at the same time, where he was playing these kind of bad guys. I liked both of them. So, and then my 4th one here is The Crazy Ones.
Yeah,
the show, his last project, his last TV show with Sarah Michelle Gellar and Hamish Linklater, and I loved the show. As soon as the first season was canceled, I actually went and bought the first season because I really liked the show.
Yeah.
Again, I think I can't differentiate between loving him so much that I just like the show but I actually thought it was an entertaining show. I thought he was entertaining on it. I thought the whole cast was actually very entertaining.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I don't watch a lot of shows, as is well documented. I think you didn't make me watch. I watched most of 2 episodes. Yeah. And I thought it was a good show.
Yeah.
And I like him, and I like Sarah Gellar. And Amish Linklater, I like him.
Yeah.
I mean, from Christine was one of the highlights for me. So I thought it was a really good show, and it was disappointing it got canceled.
It was. Because again, since it was an advertising agency, they were able to have their sponsors, so it felt like it would make money easily. So I think people just weren't watching it, I guess. So
yeah,
that's all under my Secretly Love. Okay. Embarrassed you haven't seen?
So I got 3 of them.
Okay.
Good Will Hunting.
Wow.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
Maybe we've talked about that before.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm sure we've talked. Yeah, so we've done both Matt Damon and I think Affleck. Affleck. I did not mean that the first time.
Ben Affleck.
Yeah, so we have talked about that before. I have not seen
it.
Okay. Dead Poet Society.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Yeah, this is why I'm embarrassed.
Okay.
And Good Morning Vietnam.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, not seen it.
We could have a Robin Williams marathon.
We could.
Okay. Mine, Fisher King. I may have seen it when it first came out.
Mm-hmm.
May have. I can remember, but also it might just be I've seen scenes from it.
Sure.
Over the years.
Yeah.
So I don't remember it. And Patch Adams was the other one.
Yeah.
Adding to your watch list?
Aladdin.
Yes.
Yeah.
We should go do that now.
Fine.
Okay, so I have my honorable mentions, which I think we basically talked about. Mork and Mindy.
Yeah.
Good Morning Vietnam. Awakenings.
Yeah.
So good. Insomnia. RV. RV was a movie that I hated at first. And for some reason, I kept watching it. Whenever it was on TBS, years ago, it would just be on all the time. And so I kept watching it, and I realized how funny it is.
Sure.
And it was just, now it's become one of those that I actually, if it's on, I'll stop and watch it.
Man, you never see that movie on.
No, not anymore. Night at the Museum, His Roosevelt is just, it's one of those that's so heartfelt and lovely. Lovely, lovely, lovely. And August Rush, complete crier. And he's so good in that too. He's so good in everything he does. And I know I've skipped a lot because there's a lot actually in the early times that I didn't see.
Right.
But anyway, and we got to talk about all of his with Whoopi Goldberg and Billy Crystal, all of their.
Yeah, I couldn't remember the name.
Comic
of
Relief.
That's it.
Yeah, which is totally worth checking out on YouTube.
Yeah, him and Billy Crystal, man. Those two.
Yeah, there's that Father's Day movie, and that they did together, which again to me wasn't great. So. No,
it seemed forced.
Yeah, it just It wasn't up to them.
Everybody thought, well, the two of them on Comic
Right.
Relief was so good. Let's get them, let's
Yeah.
just throw them together. Don't worry about how good a story it is or anything like that.
Exactly.
Yeah, that they can only do so much.
Oh, excuse me.
Wow,
I'm yawning out of it.
Am I boring you?
No, bored myself. Okay, that's everything for this week,
Ooh.
which wasn't a lot, but we're still over an hour.
Yeah, gosh, we're sorry.
Sorry, I talked too much.
Well, it's a podcast. I mean,
Oh, okay. Then
That's
let
what
me
you-
tell you another story.
no, see ya. Gotta go.
All right, everybody, have a very good 2 weeks. Wear a mask.
I'm gonna one up you, and I'm gonna tell everybody to have a great 2 weeks.
Oh,
Have a great 2
I
weeks.
see how it is.
Yeah.
We will be here and have a safe Labor Day weekend
Yes.
next weekend.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
That's
Oh,
it.
yeah, that's on me. Until next time, I'll be watching my stories.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.